I'm Monica.
I'm Siddharth, and we are
Rocknroo.
And today we are going to talk about our entrepreneurial journey.
So, the problem we are trying to solve is inconsolable crying in babies as a result of infantile colic, where they cry because of the discomfort and the pain, and this can go on for more than 3 hours a day for more than 3 days a week. And this affects, of course, the parents, and they're usually helpless and they don't really know how to deal with the crying baby. And if they're working, or let's say single parents or parents with twins or triplets, it would be really hard for them to cope with their work, and they are sleep deprived because of the crying, and they're frustrated, they're stressed. And then the most effective technique to solve this problem is to perform kangaroo care, parental skin-to-skin care, which is basically holding the baby onto your chest, just like Sid has right here. But this needs to be done for, of course, hours and hours. And if you are a working parent and you deserve a break, it would be nice to have Rocknroo. Rocknroo is a non-invasive pillow that mimics the chest of the parent and also emulates the principles of kangaroo care. So our device is basically hands-free, chest-shaped. It has the breathing movement, warmth, heartbeat. So the idea is the babies can feel that they're back with the parent.
Yeah, so where did we start? We met in a course about healthcare entrepreneurship more than a year ago. First thing we were asked was to come up with a problem with which we would work throughout the whole course. So we got together, we brainstormed, and at that point I actually turned to my mom, who is a nurse and who's been working with neonates for many years. And she pitched this problem about infantile colic. And so we started researching more about it. We started thinking about ideas how to relieve this pain from both the babies and the parents. And then later on after the course, we started enrolling in competitions, in many other courses related to either prototyping or even more entrepreneurial courses. And now, more than a year after that, we are still here, still working on it.
So there is a genuine problem out there that needs to be solved. We know that the science behind how the problem can be solved is concrete and solid. And what we want to do is bring that science onto our device to solve the problem. This is Rocknroo.
What makes us more passionate about it is that we fell in love with the problem itself. And from the competitions that we are taking part in, we've had multiple parents and people approach us where they actually validated the problem. They go through this situation. So looking at these parents, it has been motivating and encouraging us to keep going, that it does not make sense for us to stop right now. I think what is more unique about the way we've executed this project is that knowing that each one of us have only 2 years to work on this, we divided the team into two, where 2 members were working on the technical aspect of it and the other 2 members were working on the business aspect of it. So simultaneously we were bringing the project together, and it was not at any point lagging behind. And that is how we are able to, in our entrepreneurial journey, be able to do the prototyping, be able to do the validation, be able to do the design, and also at the same time some of us have honed the skills in terms of, let's say, presentation, marketing, and finances. And yeah, so I think that I can say is the most valuable and unique experience that we've gained from this project.
So the biggest challenge, I would say that's probably the biggest challenge we are maybe facing right now, because up until now we've been a project, we are still studying, so it's been done next to our studies. But right now we are actually thinking about taking the big step forward, becoming a company, trying to sustain ourselves through the project. So I think that's kind of a challenge because none of us has done it in the past. And yeah, so we are now looking, for example, for investors. We are thinking about what the next goals are going to be. So this transitioning phase is probably the biggest challenge.
So when you sign up for a project like Rocknroo or any other project which involves going beyond your academic life, beyond your academic boundaries, I would say, you are signing up to learn new skills, to push yourself into things you're not comfortable in doing. And it's not easy, but it would involve having sleepless nights, it would involve working on the weekends, but all of it is worth it because of what you learn eventually out of it. And having done this for the past one and a half year with Rocknroo, I still feel that there is so much more to learn, that there's so much more you can get out of it. And yes, that's what we are doing now.
Don't take him too seriously in this because of course it involves a lot of extra time, but he also takes extra courses, like a lot of extra courses. So for him, it definitely means more sleepless nights than, for example, for us.
But the underlying is, yeah, we are so motivated to do something.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And it's doable.
Yeah, that's important.
It's doable.
Yeah. So the next step for all of us is graduating as soon as possible so that we can take Rocknroo full time. We want to go for EIT health validation this fall, and we are looking for investments right now so that we can keep on doing this.
And of course, after that, we also want to do pilot tests for our product, and we will probably also have our crowdfunding campaign. Keep an eye out for that. And so start our first sales hopefully by summer or spring of next year. And yeah.
So, I mean, especially the students who live in Delft, I think that they're very lucky to be here because what I feel here is that Delft has a very stimulatory environment. And when you have an idea that you would like to turn into something more, there are so many programs and so many people who are willing to help that it is actually quite easy and it's definitely possible to do it. So if you have an idea, if you are passionate about it, if you want to see what you can get out of it, if you want to learn something about entrepreneurship, I would say just go for it. You never know how it's gonna turn out, but even the journey until it fails, it's still a very good experience. Of course, I hope we are not gonna fail. Who knows? And I really think that in Delft, probably in general in Netherlands, the conditions for startups and for people trying to turn idea into something more are really good.
So it is a pretty interesting situation, and a lot of people would be jealous of my situation. I'm aware. I think it's important to have a diverse viewpoint, but that does not just come from your background, but a lot of it comes from your gender, I believe. So we have had our fair share of disagreements, and there are times when we discuss on topics for 3 hours, 4 hours, and we still don't have any solution by the end of it. We still don't agree to what each other is convinced of, definitely convinced of. But until now we have stuck together, so that also means that we have ironed out those differences eventually, because we all understand that in the end we want good things to happen to Rocknroo, and we are driven by that one motive to do the best for Rocknroo, and each of us is trying in that regard.
You need to be aware that you will have these disagreements when you're working in a team, especially in a startup, in a project where all of you are starting from the scratch, where you don't really have any experience in any of this, everyone's doing it together, that there will be plenty of lows and less of highs, I would say, because that's the more realistic. But you need to be determined and driven together that you want to bring this somewhere, and that's probably the cohesive factor in the team, I would say.
There's also a saying, don't do business with friends. It can be, I can imagine it can become a problem for someone, but I think so far it's not been a problem for us.
No.
Which is really nice, of course, because we are, although we have these disagreements, we are always able to put it behind us, and then on the informal basis we still remain on really good terms. So that's something I'm really happy about, or we all are really happy about, that we are able to do it.
Yeah, so definitely from our experience, from what we've seen, there are more male entrepreneurs out there, but we would like to encourage more females that if you have an idea, don't hesitate, take a step forward, and it will, don't ever put your gender as a constraint, just go for it. I think there are equal opportunities out there for you, there's equal support, and you will strive and do well.
Eventually it's about a team, so once you find a good team, it really doesn't matter. And it's probably really always good to have a balanced team. For example, for us, given the problem, which is quite feminine because it of course concerns babies, it is still for us very important to have the point of view from Sid, because he definitely looks at some things a little bit differently than we do. So sometimes, of course, it is a little bit more difficult to understand each other, but it's definitely important to consider what the other gender views. Thank you for watching. If you want to get in touch or stay up to date with our project, follow our social media pages below or contact us directly.